Oh, I tell you what, the sun wasn't out and out, and it's not completely cloudless, but bloody hell it's hot. And it's a bit hot wearing all this clobber. I'm sweating into it, and I'm freaking covered in sweat, and oh god, wiping the sweat off my glasses and everything. Finally got this shitty little piece up. Oh, what a bloody effort. I have to sit there with the blooming jemmy, jamming it underneath and hammering this under, and you get one end under and the bottom flips out on the other side, and oh shit. Oh, what a bitch. As you may notice, there's not going to be a great deal of room. I can push that up, but I mean, bloody hell, it's so close to where the bottom of that weatherboard is from where it goes onto the flashing. The flashing isn't, it's almost going to be sitting flat, which is not what you want. So, anyway, a bit of angle and hopefully it'll be alright, but won't be much of a blasted angle. It's just so close between the bottom of the weatherboard and where the batten is, you know, that there's not much flipping room there to move with. This one will be alright. This is two battens that are actually set back from where the other battens are, because I notched these bits out. And yeah, they'll obviously be fine because we've got plenty of room to deal with. As you can probably notice from the remains of the last one there, I don't know if you can see it very well under all the shadow, but yeah, plenty of length there. So, but I've just discovered something else too. Don't know if we can quite see it from here. I've got to put a flashing over that to stop that end weatherboard all getting bloody wet. And yeah, I don't know if you can really see it. Got the other alleging piece on. Didn't get all of them completely in. We'll see how we come, but at a later point I might have to trim that bloody rose bush or get in behind something here and try and lean over and put a few more rivets in, but we've got quite a number on down this side. All just leaning, well actually standing on top of this chipboard shit and leaning in. Ah, plug that little hole there. I think you can see it. No, we're going to dazzle like shit and you can't see it. There you go, a little bit of plate. Just there under that weatherboard. Plug in that hole. I'm going to go and have a drink because, my gosh, I'm hot. Whew. And then I've still got to fit around with the last flashing here and that one there I just mentioned. Then, silicon up around these flashings and over some of these little screws that don't have rubber seals, and a couple of the old holes that were in these other two flashings here that I didn't silicon up. I siliconed up the one on the other side. Then we can get to and start whacking roof sheets on. And with a bit of luck I'll have all that done within the next few hours, but we'll see how we go. Yeah, it'd also be good if I didn't touch the flashings and just about burn myself from the heat of the flipping metal, but anyway, all the cats are sitting around sleeping. This always happens. As soon as you hit a certain temperature, the cats are just laying around to sleep everywhere. 7th of March, these little things have got to go out, so it's about 10 or 11 days' time. We can watch the food bill drop and say goodbye to our little cuties. And I hope they all find homes, particularly that very friendly one. The one that's tabby with a little white feet that comes up and sits next to me and sleeps next to me and stuff like that. I don't know if that's him or it's the other one. There's two of them. One's got a narrower face and the friendly one's got the wider face. Well, we've done all the flashings. Talk about bitch. God damn it. You know, when you bend these over and hammer them, I mean, that's deliberately wavered there, off being off another roof. When you go and bend them up that angle that's inside underneath the weatherboard, you won't get it perfectly straight because you're not using a pan brake or a press brake, which will give you a nice perfectly straight edge. You're just using a hammer, and of course, you know, you got to strike umpteen blows with a hammer, and of course, some areas that have been hit obviously are a bit more bent one way than the other. And you end up with these, no matter how careful you are, you end up with these tiny amount of wavers. And so what you've got is you've got the top of this being like, not that big, but you know, your wave might only be not even 1/8 of an inch. And yet, when you've got a jemmy bar underneath the weatherboard trying to, you know, you've got to undo all these screws to loosen it off. Stick a jemmy bar underneath. First of all, you've got to break the paint where the, you know, you've painted the underside of that weatherboard, and then stick it up. And of course, you're going like hell with this jemmy bar, and you've got this tiny little gap, and you've got wavers, and then you're trying to poke the bloody waves in to get it to go up this gap, because you only have, you know, about this much room. You're opening it up, and the waves aren't flaming, you know, like that, you know, so tight to try and get the waves up. And sometimes you get one end up, like you get this end up, and this end won't quite be in, and so then you work on getting this, you keep working along here, and as you're working along and this end starts to come up, this end starts to fucking fall out again. Oh, jeez, it shits you. The other thing is, when you get a jemmy bar underneath this weatherboard and pull it out, guess what? As you're trying to stick the sheet metal up, the bloody jemmy bar's in the way where the sheet metal's going to go, and because your jemmy bar's under tension, you can't get the flaming sheet metal past it because it's under tension and it's holding on the exact same spot that the bloody weatherboard's, that the sheet metal has to go up. So then you're trying to do the end and trying to wedge the end out and jam one end under, and then trying to sort of lift it here while you jam the stuff a foot back up, and lift it here again while you're trying to jam, you know, and then just sort of work your way across a foot ahead with the jemmy bar as opposed to where you're trying to jam it up, you know. And then when you finally get this end up, and then you start to get that end up, because you've had one half of it up and the other half not up, it's sort of almost like you've got a kink going along, and then it'll want to pop out. Oh, God. Talk about a shitstorm. Anyway, we got it done. And by the overlap of these sheets, I think I'm going to have to bloody well undo these rivets again and then re-rivet this piece. This piece is a shitstorm. That's on 3 different angles. One there, another one there, another one there. And then this is sort of sitting up a bit. But the trouble is, if the water comes off here and goes in here, I don't want to have silicon along here. So I might just leave that sitting up anyway, for any water that comes off here and goes in underneath there, for it to be able to just flow straight out. So that might sit like that. And yeah, a couple of rivets in here to hold that there, as well as the one there. Yeah, so probably going to have to unscrew those to get this sheet on, put those back in, and that's your batten, so then I should just be able to slam ones in along the batten with a bit of luck. Oh yeah, oh beauty, the existing holes in the damn thing are in line with the batten, and this is off another bloody building, so that was a bit of a flaming random shot. You see what I've done here, I've had the existing screws for the weatherboards, but because this only overlaps just a little bit inside, I've had to put all these other ones, and you got to actually sit this up and then drill it and then whack your screw in. Anyway, there's a lot of bloody flashings, but I mean, quite honestly, the more the merrier, because then there's less of a chance, you know, of it getting in. And I don't know what the exact standard is, but I think if you go about 4 inches, like about that much, you're right for any water that might come in. But I mean, this is like shit. It's like friggin' nearly 8 inches wide, some of these flashings, and these are pretty good too. The one that's up underneath the downpipe there, as I was saying last time, that's a bloody foot long, you know. So the more the merrier when it comes to flashings, because if you put none on, and you know, a certain relative of mine who was very renowned for knowing it all decided to build his own house at one point and didn't use any flashings, and he rotted the fucking shit out of all the edges of the buildings. It just rotted to the fucking shit house, and it had to be redone after he died, because it was such a bloody mess, and all the water had crept into the roof space. It was a shit of it. But anyway, the rate it's all going, that house might be demolished in about 6 months from what I'm hearing on the grapevine anyway. They did fix it up though, but oh geez, it was something that just was never done right. First of all, by somebody who knows everything, or knew everything. Yeah, but anyway, I've sort of got one there, and I've got a second one there, and another one there. That one, the big one there, is going to have to be lifted up a bit, and all these are going to have to sort of be lifted up, or this one here pushed down a little bit to meet the sheets, due to the drop in the battens because of the downpipe and all that there. But that should all work out fine. I've actually riveted the first parts of where the big flashing is there, and the sheet that's still, the roof sheet that's on the veranda there, I've riveted the first 18 inches or so of that anyway. And of course I will continue to rivet all along these flashings and silicone it as I go. There's my little patch that I was saying about before. And then if I've got any silicone left, I'll get up and do that little bit, and then I'll do that little bit and work on all these little holes here. I want to make sure that I've got enough just to do the roof down here, because you can't climb on top of shit with battens. It's just friggin' thin. I mean, honestly, you know, it's about 4/5 of an inch. It's just shit out, and it wouldn't hold me weight. And so I want to get all the silicone that I've got used to do this first, and then if I haven't ran the tube out, which I probably nearly would have, then I'll climb up on top of the roof properly with a ladder around the other side and finish all these little bits and pieces there. Failing that, I'll have to buy another tube of silicone next week and then get up there next week and do it. But yeah, didn't get that much done today. Got a late start, and by the time I got started, then a bit of a shitstorm getting this up, and then got this first one up, and then the heat kicked in, and went inside and cooled down for a while, and then come out and farted around, went through all the same cycle with those next couple here, and yeah, finally, but I got this done. But anyway, I've actually got to go somewhere in a minute, so I think that's pretty much call this a day. That wasn't hell of much of a day. Okay, I don't really want to show this, and I've got to get going in a minute. I think this has severe issues. You can see the white on there. You rub it, it's all over the end of this thing. Now I've wiped a bit of that off already. I pulled this out. These are the two pipes that were sitting in this hot water system. This is the one where it's eaten the anode away. I've had these white crystals and white muck floating on the top of the water ever since day one with this. It's eaten away all the anode. This is the incoming line to the pump, and that's the outgoing, because the dickheads decided that regardless of the fact the maker stocked a pump that was the right flow, that they were going to give me one that was double the current draw and double the bloody flow. Fantastic. Anyway, so I had to, it was too much for the shower head, so I had to have a bleed back line, like a line that, you know, had a ball valve with a certain amount open so that it wouldn't try and force 16 litres of water a minute through a head that can only release 8 litres of water a minute, and was off another system that could only release 8 litres of water a minute. So that was me reflow back in line, and I've just pulled both of these out, and as not surprising, they're covered in white shit. This one was so covered in crystals I had to rub them off with my hand, wash my hand, go get this watering can, wash the hose, refill the watering can, and what I'm basically trying to do here is flush the pump. Now, I used the pump the other day when I had put algicide in my tank for the Coleman Hot Water on Demand, the little grey document tub on the stand in there. That all didn't work very well at all, and I felt rather icky. And so I wanted to wash myself quickly, and the quickest way to do it was obviously just turn on the switch for the other pump, which is just around the side of the sides of the shower, and flicked it on and used a bit of that water to try and wash myself. In the process, that pump, I fear, has sucked up some of these crystals. Now, this should be a corrosion-resistant pump, sort of, kind of, maybe. It does 70 degrees Celsius water, which is hot enough to burn you. It has a rubberized impeller, which means that it should be able to take a bit of random shit in the water. It also has a bronze casting that the rubber impeller sits in, and bronze is reasonably, it's a mix of, what is it now, copper and zinc. No, brass is copper and zinc, and bronze is copper and tin. And I'm pretty certain it's bronze, not brass. Either way, both of those are reasonably corrosion resistant, but I don't exactly want this crystallised shitty water still sitting in that bronze piece with the impeller slowly corroding it away. So I've decided to go and flush the lines out. I've already put through 2 of these. This is number 3. I'll put through 2 more, and it'll be like 10 gallons-ish, maybe a bit more than 10 gallons that I've ran through to basically flush out any muck that may be in there from a couple of weeks ago. I've been meaning to do this last few weeks, and I think, it's pretty corrosion resistant. Oh, it should be fine. Oh, the water should have drained back out through, and I'm pretty certain, no, the water didn't drain back out through because the pipes are actually higher than where the water pump's sitting. So anyway, I'm doing it now, and regardless of if it's corrosion resistant or not, regardless if the water drained back out of the lines or not, which I don't think it did, I've gone and flushed this out with clean water. And I think I told you guys all before about my intentions to use this in the summer for probably watering tomatoes out of the water that I stored up during the winter into IBCs using the Big Briggs and Stratton pump to fill the IBCs, and then I will use this to water the tomatoes, and if I replace the house batteries, well, they'll be going over there, but I'll work out some sort of solar rig when that time comes.